YouTube. Shout out to Racino Lawn Care for the title suggestion for these type of videos. It's another bumpy ride down the Garden State Parkway today. I think part of it is where my mount is for the cell phone. I don't think it was really made to hold it to do videos or anything, but that's probably part of it. But the road is bumpy. They're doing a lot of road construction in certain places. But anyway, the point of this video is for Justin. I forget the numbers after his name, but he's the only one that is Justin in his username on my channel. I'll try to post a link in the description when I upload this. You want to know how I started my lawn care business? I started it because I used to work for I worked for somebody else off and on, and my partner had worked for the same person, and he worked there full time, and he wanted to, start a business with me on the side while he worked at the other place. And at the time I wasn't working, so it was a good idea to start it up. I never had any intention of ever getting involved in lawn care or landscaping, but he came up to me the one day and was like, "Oh, you want to start a business together?" And it was his suggestion, so I was like, "Yeah, it sounds like a good idea." So we just started it up, and he was working full time, so I was doing most of the work at the beginning, just a couple lawns, and it was no big deal because it was only like maybe one day a week that I was cutting. Like, I think I started with like 4, maybe 5 lawns. And I'm pretty sure like 4 or 5 lawns because he was always busy, so I didn't want to take on too much. And we did a couple other jobs, like nothing major. And it just really, at first, I really wasn't too optimistic because we weren't getting any calls or anything for, cutting grass or anything else even. And we had started with advertising about doing, anything involved with landscaping. But most of our calls were for cutting grass, and like I said, there was like maybe 4 or 5 lawns that we did on a regular basis. We had a couple that we did once. The people wanted like a one-time cut, which is kind of like a waste of time when people ask for that, because they expect you to do it for the same price. Like if you go there for a one-time cut, they think it's going to be $20, and like the grass is like a foot high. But that's not going to happen. So like you want weekly and bi-weekly customers. That's how I got started. If you're looking for more like my experience before that, my grandfather taught me how to cut grass probably when I was maybe 8 years old, I would think, and I was always cutting his grass, and he was explaining different things like how to trim hedges and stuff. But like when he did it, it was all by hand. Like I didn't use any. I used of course the gas lawnmower. And everything else was by hand, like what you would normally do with a weed whacker or string trimmer, whichever way you want to look at it as. If you start a business, don't ever tell your customer you'll do weed whacking. It's not professional. It's string trimming. A lot of people say weed whacking. Customers say it, but it's really string trimming. Weed whacking sounds like not professional, just like a normal term. But anyway, I don't remember ever using like a weed whacker when I was a kid until I got a little older, because then my father had a weed whacker and a string trimmer, so then I would use that. But when my grandfather showed me, he would always cut it with these he had these grass clippers. They were like, it was like big scissors, and I always joked like that it was like slave labor when I was a kid. But I cut the grass with the lawnmower, then we would go around and like use these clippers and like cut the edges and stuff. And it was like a process. Like if you did this now, like you could do like one lawn a day maybe, versus having a nice lawnmower and a string trimmer and everything like that. And the one thing I remember, and I always joke about it, is like edging sidewalks. If it's overgrown, you really need like the edger blade, like on your trimmer, or like a walk behind edger. But when I was a kid and my grandfather wanted the sidewalk edged, I would use a spade, like the shovel, the square shovel, and like cut all the edges like across the whole sidewalk. And I remember that being like a whole, like it was like a most of the day project just to edge the sidewalk. Where if you use your trimmer, you're done in like 5-10 minutes depending on the size of the sidewalk, and then you just blow off the stuff. But we would use the shovel, and so it was like a ton of cleanup, like a lot of dirt, and that was a lot of work. But the funny thing is, I did a sod job one time with my partner, and it got dark, and I was edging the sidewalks in the dark with the shovel. And he's like, he goes, "How can you even see?" And I was like, "I can't. I could not see what I was doing. It was like pitch black, like 9:30 at night. We were trying to get the sidewalk, the sod done." And he's like, "How can you see?" And I was like, "I can't." But the funny thing was, because I had done so much edging when I was a kid, that I didn't even need to like look. I knew like where the edge of the sidewalk was, how to feel where the edge was, and just go right through. So I really, started out with this stuff when I was young, and it was just because my grandfather showed me. But then when I went to college and when I was in school and everything, I didn't have time to cut grass or anything. So like my parents hired somebody to do their lawn, and my mom wanted the guy to plant 2 trees and put 2 little mulch rings around it. Well, I came home the one night, and the guy was finishing up. He mulched our entire front yard. There was probably like 3 or 4 yards of mulch in my front yard. We wanted 2 little rings around the tree to retain some water while it was establishing itself. And after that, like I flipped out, because I spent like a week like redoing the front yard. I had to plant grass, and at the time, we didn't have a lawnmower because somebody was doing it. So why have a lawnmower? Why have equipment to maintain? So he was like still cutting the grass, but then he wasn't coming to do it. And after that, like we just got rid of him, and I was like, I'm just gonna start doing lawns myself if you can't find reliable people. So I was doing my lawns, and then shortly after that, my partner had asked if he wanted to go into business. So I said, yeah. That's how I got started. It wasn't like something I was like into originally, but I had just done it like when I was younger for my grandfather, and then when the person made the mistake on my parents' lawn, it was like it was just like kind of things like fell into place, and it was a good idea. And the first season, like when we were trying to get everything started, and we were still trying to set everything up, we were only doing like 4 lawns. But then the season where we were set up, we had everything, we were registered, taxes, all that. We jumped from 4 to 27, and that was a really big jump, but it was good. So I'm hoping this season we get more than that. That's how I got started. If you want some tips, since you said you wanted to, possibly get into it, if you currently have a job, don't walk in one day and be like, "Screw you, I quit, I'm going to cut lawns." You're not going to get rich cutting lawns. Regardless of what anybody says, you are not going to get rich. Cutting lawns is a substitute in between trying to get all sorts of other jobs, like patio trimmings, mulch, plantings. All that stuff is where you make money. Grass cutting is a fill-in. Grass cutting is like, it gets you out every day for people to see, like, hey, look, this guy does this. And hopefully when you start cutting grass, you suggest to people, look, you want to trim this bush, you want to do this, you need to do this, and this will make your yard look better. You always have to be on the lookout for other work, not just cutting grass. Like, there's a lot of people that they just cut grass, but unless you have 100, 200 lawns a week, you're not going to make enough to, I mean, if you do it by yourself, yeah, maybe there's extra money, but you're not going to have like this giant salary from just doing lawns unless you have a lot. The people that are like strictly lawn maintenance companies, they have a lot of lawns. There's no way you're going to have 15 lawns and make a lot of money just doing that. You need to look for, other work related to, landscaping and everything. So, if you're going to do just lawns, like, look at it as a part-time job. Like I said, don't quit your normal job. Do your lawns after work, and it's basically extra money for you. And whatever you do not decide to cut lawns and run out and buy like $5,000-$10,000 worth of equipment. That's like idiotic that people do that. Every year here, there's like a new landscaping company that pops up, or lawn care or whatever, and you see them cruising around with a brand new lawnmower. And in the fall, by the time fall comes, if I had the money, I could buy up all this equipment, because all you see on Craigslist is lawn care company for sale, brand new mower, 20 clients. Because if all your money is going to finance a mower, because you want to have the biggest, coolest, zero-turn lawnmower, and all the money you made went to pay for the lawnmower, guess what? You're not going to be in business long. So I have a new customer for this season, and the first thing the guy asked me was, oh, what kind of lawnmower do you use? And I'm like, at first I said, what does it matter? And he goes, is it one of them big zero-turn riding mower things? And I said, no. I said, it's a walk-by. He goes, oh, good. He goes, because the last guy we had just drove in circles, and when you look in his yard, all you see is ruts and circles, because the mower was too big to do his yard properly. So don't, rush out and buy new stuff. Use a push mower. If you have a push mower around the house, that's what you should be using. Whatever trimmer you have around the house, however you do your own lawn, is what you need to start with to do other people's lawns. Don't buy new equipment. The 2 commercial mowers I have are used. I don't even know what year they are, but I can tell you they're old. They're not anything new, and they work. And I will keep using them until they blow up. And when they blow up, I will probably find a used engine to put on them and keep going until I feel comfortable buying a new mower. And I may never feel comfortable buying a new mower, because I don't like to part with my money right away. I'd rather get a couple used ones than have one new mower. And my one mower, the 36 that I use the most, I paid $200 for. The 48 that I get quite a bit of use out of, but not as much, I paid $100 for. So I paid $100, and having 2 mowers, when one would break down, at least I had a backup. And the one time the 36 broke down, and the 48 didn't fit in some places, so I used the push mower anyway. So even though I have commercial mowers, you still need a push mower. And I would suggest starting out with a push mower. Don't run out and buy all this new commercial equipment. You don't need it when you start. You will eventually need it, and the more you do, the more reliable stuff you need. When I go out and cut grass, I have all sorts of tools and spare parts with me, because I just, I'm always sure something's going to happen. But it can happen with a new mower. You can get a new mower and have problems too, just like you can buy a new car and have problems. So when you start out, you should look at investing as little money as possible into it. And before you decide that it's like a career that you want to do, get a few lawns, like get your neighbor's lawns, like stuff close by, and see if you like it. It has to be something you like somewhat. There's days where I go out and cut grass and I think it's the most miserable experience of my life. And there's other days where I'm like, wow, this is pretty good, working for myself. So there's always going to be those days where you hate it. You sit there like, why the heck are we doing? Are you doing this? There's days where I'll be working with my partner and I tell him, if you ever come to me and tell me you want to start a business, it better be like a pizza place or a bar or something fun. But then there's other days where we do a good job with something, like whether it's putting nice stripes on the lawn or a nice landscaping thing, and we're proud of it, like realize, hey, this is a good thing we're doing. So just start out small, like do 1 or 2 lawns, see if you like it, see if you like going out, trying to get new customers and dealing with people, because you constantly have to deal with people. And sometimes I don't like dealing with people, depending on how they are. And then there's people that are so nice that I wouldn't mind spending hours talking to them. And then there's people that it's more like, give me my money and let me finish my job and have a nice day. So that's pretty much like the tips I have. Like I said, start out small. Since in a lot of your videos you're hanging out with the same friends all the time, it looks like I'm sure you're really good friends. Have one of them go with you, so while you like mow the lawns, they're using the trimmer and trimming, so you can actually work faster versus by yourself. Because sometimes when you do it by yourself, and if it's real hot out, and you're like, oh my God, I gotta cut this grass. Then you gotta put the mower on the trailer. Then you gotta grab the trimmer. You gotta go, you gotta go trim everything. Then after that, you gotta get the blower. If you're good friends with somebody and they'll work with you a little, even if they'll do it for free a couple times with you, then you can decide, like, do you want somebody as an employee or a partner? Because it's not easy, like, working with somebody. I work really well with my partner because I've known him for a long time, and we're not like trying to like be like, oh, you need to do this and you need to do this. We just each decide like what we're gonna do, and we work well together. Like, I would say like 99% of the time I use the mowers, and he's always on with the trimmer and the blower. And when he goes around with the trimmer, of course, he should always be waiting on me, because there shouldn't be that much trimming to do. It should be, I spend more time with the mower, and trimming should be a little bit. So, he goes with the trimmer, and he goes far enough that he knows, if I'm making a certain turn with the mower, he trims out far enough that I don't have to, miss a spot or anything. So you have to like really be comfortable with who you work with, and know that they're not going to be in your way where, something flies out of the mower and you hurt them, or they hurt you with the trimmer. And, if you're going to work with somebody, you got to make sure you work well with them, and you don't want to be like on a job site, get into a fight with the person you work with. So, like I said, start out small. Don't think you're going to, go, oh, I'm going to cut grass and have 50 accounts, and certainly you wouldn't be able to do that on your own. I've had to do some lawns myself because my partner couldn't do it, and in turn he's done it a few times when I couldn't do it, and it works well that way. So And sometimes working by yourself just feels like a never-ending battle. So it's good to have somebody with you. So if you're really good friends with, somebody, you guys work together, which it seems like in your, like I said in your videos, you guys are always hanging out. So I'm sure, one of your friends could work with you, and you can see if you really enjoy it, and would you want to partner with somebody or have employees. Like I don't have any employees. It's just me and my partner, and I really don't want any employees right now because, well, you got to put out more money, not only their payroll but insurance and everything else. So you have to, you have to really think about that stuff. Sorry, I'm getting distracted. Some idiots tailgating in the middle of the merge. So, I think that's pretty much, it. That covers like the basics of starting something. And, there's always the paperwork. That's always a nightmare because you don't want to go home. Depending on how many hours a day you work, there's some days where we get started at 8 o'clock in the morning and I come home 8 o'clock at night, and I certainly won't be filling out paperwork. But if you don't keep track of the billing, sometimes you miss billing people and they get their lawn cut for free, which I've never had anybody complain about that. But certainly if you make a mistake and charge them extra, you'll hear about it. But the time that you mistakenly don't bill them, they'd never say, oh, you forgot to bill me. So you have to really be on top of your paperwork and not make too many mistakes in that. So that's another thing to think about. You have to keep track of everything because unless you get cash the day you're there, you can always have somebody turn around and say, oh, you didn't cut my grass this week. But if you have your paperwork and you say, hey, look, this is the day I was there, it's written down, here you go, they have no argument. I've had people try to tell me that I wasn't there a certain day, and I show them the papers. And the one time I even had a picture of the person's grass that was cut, and I said, well, here's a picture of it. And they're like, oh, and then they don't hear any complaints after that. When they know you're on top of your paperwork and everything, you usually don't get any complaints. It's when they think that they can pull one over on you about doing something, they will say, oh, you didn't do this, and that gets really annoying. That's about it. If you have any other questions, let me know. So I'm gonna end this video now because I'm almost home. So I talked enough to drive through 35 exits. So I'm sure it was a long video.